Welcome to Brisbane. Hi, I'm Jeremy Ryland and this is another G&M COVID update. We're here at the Carlisle Hotel in Fortitude Valley, home to Hellenica and SK Steak and Oyster, both of which are owned by Simon Gloftis. Simon, welcome.
Thanks.
You, over the last couple of months, have been one of the few restaurants that hasn't opened or isn't doing takeaway. Tell me why.
Well, there's a few reasons for it. One, I wanted to keep the place, I suppose, clean, for lack of a better word. I wanted to, when we come through it, I wanted to make sure that we come out and people are again excited to come back to us. That we haven't cut any corners or done anything different. And I just feel like Hellenica and SK are both premium offerings, and I didn't want to change that in people's minds. And I wanted to make sure that when we do reopen, that people are coming back to a venue that has maybe actually improved, not gone the other way. And I just thought takeaway might have messed with that a little bit. So there's a few reasons for it, but that's the major one.
Fair enough. How have you been coping in the meantime? What have you been doing?
So, to be honest with you, the first week when we got told we were closing by the government, I had full meltdown mode. I had to make sure that I had the best interests of my 230 odd staff at heart first. That was really hard. That was hard. It's the first time I've had to tell everyone. I haven't been in that situation where I've had to close before or anything. So it was tough. And then after about a week or two, to be honest with you, I just sort of relaxed into it and said, okay, just roll with this and go with whatever happens. Personally, I've been doing a lot of cooking and things at home, but what we've done is what started off as a bit of a joke. We started a thing called the Simon James University, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but what we've done is we got all our staff on JobKeeper, and so we've set up about 10 Zoom calls a week, and we've got them doing little tests and things. We've got them doing listening to audio books, and they're from anything from Anthony Bourdain to We had I actually got the food and beverage director of the Dorchester Collection, Beverly Hills Hotel, and he spoke to all my staff via Zoom and things, and then we went away and did talking points about it and things. So we've been working pretty hard. We're concentrating. We want to make sure that when we reopen, the staff and the team are so unbreakable that it's forged this new bond, and it's been really nice. For some people, they're fine. They have families here or what have you. But we've got a lot of staff that didn't have families, whatever, and they really, those Zoom calls and those meetings and those tests and those exams that we give them, they're really appreciative of anything that holds it together. So that's the thing that I'm really proud of that we've been able to do since being closed.
So a really good time for a lot of training, and you're going to reopen much better, I guess. When do you have plans for reopening?
We have. Basically, when we get the go-ahead, we sort of need 2 weeks. So I've been ready to open from 2 weeks after we closed, and I'll be ready to open. Whenever that happens, I'm hopeful that it's early July. That's where I want it to be, and we'll be 100% ready to go. And it's one of those things. How long a piece of string? But we know that we need about 2 weeks from the time that we get the notice to go to re-go, and we'll be ready.
Okay. So obviously self-distancing and the 4 square metre rule probably here to stay for a little while, unless we're lucky like New Zealand and we can reopen totally. Yeah. How does that work with a premium restaurant, which is reasonably intimate?
Well, we're sort of lucky that both my venues are big enough to hold enough capacity to be able to get the place open, have a sommelier, have all the things in place that we normally have, and there should be enough income generated with that spacing to be able to keep us at that standard. So for me, I'm kind of lucky. If I was in a little bistro that fits 60 people in a tiny little space, then I'd be really panicking, because I know they can't make it work. Like it's an impossibility, especially when JobKeeper's gone. So I'm quietly hoping that when JobKeeper disappears, then they'll open up. It's pretty hard to tell a restaurateur that you can't have a full restaurant, but then we're not going to help you either. So I'm hoping that one coincides with the other. But I'm okay. My venues are big. I mean, Hellenica on a good day can fit 300 or 400 people in there. So it's we'll space it out. We'll do the sittings correctly and really manage people's times in the venue. and don't get angry when we kick you out after an hour and a half. No, but it's one of those things. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
And how do you think you'll be able to manage with that more intimate hospitality that you expect with fine dining?
Yeah, no, I'm more than confident. I think we'll be. I think people, from what I can gather, are going to support heavily, and I think even a few friends that have opened up for the 10 or the 20 people, they said that people are happy to spend a little bit more money. People are tipping heavier. They're buying nice wines. They're spending a bit more money on alcohol. So I'm more than happy with it. And at SK, I mean Hellenica, yeah, like we said, we fit all that. At SK here, we normally fit probably 120 people at one time. So we'll probably seat about 65. It'll be 70 people, which will be great. The room will have a beautiful energy like it always does, but there'll be plenty of spacing. And it'll be actually, to be honest with you, I think some people might prefer it. It'll be a really nice feeling in the room. So.
And have you had any troubles in the past with no-shows, and do you have any plans to how to manage those in the future?
Yeah, no shows are a big one. I don't think people understand how it just absolutely decimates your evening. You go from doing 80 people to 70. That extra 10 people spend $100 a head. There's $1,000. There's your profit gone. So I don't think people understand that it's the difference between making money and losing money. So I would just suggest to everybody that they really. If you can't make it, please ring the restaurant. If you drop in numbers, please ring the restaurant. We don't care if you ring 10 times. Just let us know, I don't have any plans at this stage to charge anything or hold credit card amounts of money or whatever. But if it becomes a problem, especially under social distancing, then we're going to have to. Yeah.
Excellent. You've obviously spent a lot of time with your staff training them. Do you have any other thoughts or learnings that have come out of this difficult time?
Yeah, a lot, actually. A lot. I've realised that the industry was almost broken before coronavirus, and so coming out of it, I think we need to all be smarter. And I don't mean smarter in everybody's saying put some cheaper options on your menu or whatever. I'm not doing that. I'm actually going more premium. So I've decided to go the opposite and make sure that I'm the venue that you can go and celebrate at. But I've realised that people need to spend more money when they're dining out. It's the way. It's the only. If wages stay where they are. There's nothing, rentals aren't going to drop. I mean, let's say they drop 20-30%, it's still not enough to change the industry. So I think, don't be surprised if you're buying a piece of fish a piece of snapper at a normal restaurant for $60-70 soon, because it just has to. There's no other room to squeeze or to make money out of. So I've learnt a lot about my business in the last couple of months that I haven't learnt in 20 years. You know what I mean? I know it sounds ridiculous, but for me personally, this has been a big shock, but a massive wake-up call. And I'm very lucky. Like I said, my venues will come back and will bounce back, and they're in a great environment. But for me, it's the wake-up call I needed, and it's that real reset, like people are saying, that I've never had before. So for me, I'm going to look at it just totally positive, I suppose.
Excellent. Thank you, Simon. I really look forward to both restaurants reopening, particularly SK, which I think is fabulous. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Daniel Tapir is an experienced hospitality operator and is currently working with Debo Repair Wines, who are a small single estate winery based in Rylestone near Mudgee. Daniel, welcome to GNM.
Thank you very much.
We've read a lot in the press about the devastating effect of COVID-19 on the hospitality industry, but it's obviously affected the suppliers as well, and there's a whole supply chain behind that. And particularly groups like Debo Repair, who don't sell through bottle shops and only sell through direct to their customers. How is it affecting smaller businesses like that?
Yeah, so during the COVID-19, the cellar door had to shut down for 2 months. And if you're travelling through, especially with local tourism, that was a big chunk of their revenue as such. And so only last week were they allowed to reopen. And I was told by the owner himself, Will Deborepair, he actually had to work behind the counter there. And so, yeah, people are flocking. As soon as they're allowed to get out and go to these local tourism spots and support, there's definitely news is spreading to support them. So with that lockdown, it was a little bit difficult, but the positive attitude with his family is just to persevere and keep on going.
The wine industry perhaps a little different from other suppliers in that their product is relatively shelf stable for a while. How are you aware of how people such as butchers and the fruit and veggie people have been going, supplying restaurants that you know?
Supplying restaurants, yes, it has been quite minimal. The orders have been obviously not on a weekly basis, but you go to my local and people are flocking, like just everyday people. They're just supporting their local businesses. So it's actually trickling through. If you live in New South Wales, you support New South Wales wines. If you live in Queensland, you support Queensland wines. If it's a butcher, you support your local butcher, and so on, including the fruit and veg man. So as much as they're not being able to supply for the businesses like restaurants and bars and hotels, it's glad that we just have this great Aussie camaraderie, and they're just supporting every single person along that chain.
You had a lot of experience in restaurants, most recently with Urbane, a very premium restaurant in Brisbane. How do you think the premium end of the market is going to come back, particularly as it's unable to do that really close hospitality that it's used to?
Well, I'll be definitely watching like a hawk just to see how good some of the operators are. And I've always believed that if you're out of your comfort zone, the real good operators will separate and we'll see the difference. And I encourage everybody, give it a go. I encourage every single top-end restaurant, give this a go, and you'll be surprised what you thought you weren't able to do. And sometimes you won't, like I said, out of the comfort zone, you'll be able to do things that the guests might actually find quite inviting, quite exciting, and they'll come and tell their friends, and before you know it, you've got a little niche market. So I'll be watching very closely. It's going to be tough. There's no easy road to this, and there's no recipe, but I believe in Queensland especially, there's some pretty smart operators, and they've already got a business plan for the next 6 months. Definitely.
And a lot of the operators have been doing takeaway, and my understanding from talking to some of them is that they will continue that. How do you think that's going to affect their day-to-day operations?
Well, it's definitely going to affect the customer service experience, the environment of getting ready at their home, going out for a special occasion, and going to their favourite restaurant to dine there. That's what people love to do. It's their escapism from their everyday life. And that's what I got told by a lot of customers. They loved coming to the venues I worked at because we created this experience. Takeaway, unfortunately, takes that out of the equation. And that's difficult to replace because as much as I'm comfortable in my own home, I don't particularly want to go out to get that experience and then bring it back to my house. So again, it will stick. It will be around for a while because, again, it's just another source of revenue for these business to be sustainable. But again, to create that ambience and special occasion, we'll see who stands at the end.
Prior to the COVID restrictions coming in, I think there was some discussion that quite a lot of restaurants were struggling anyway, and some of those won't reopen. What do you think the key issues? We know that labour is an issue and food costs. Do you think the consumer is prepared to pay a little bit more?
The consumers are definitely prepared to pay more. It's what do you get for that value for money? And nothing in life is for free, but I believe as an operator, you have to bring every single service just something that is just above and beyond what any customer service guest would expect. So moving forward, especially with these venues, some of them will not open. So the few that are, well, you got to bring your A game, because I think these guests will be definitely looking at new venues to see, especially with their old venues. If there's a favourite of theirs that's already closed down, they're going to definitely look for a new local. So you got to bring your A game, that's for sure.
And now that some of the restrictions are coming down, places like Debo Repair can reopen the cellar door, as you said, so they're now welcoming the tourists back. Do you think tourism will bounce back soon?
Oh, absolutely. Local tourism, especially in Queensland right now, it's just on the top of every single email and advertisement and letter sent out to every single outlet. And that's the news that we need to get out. In New South Wales, they're doing the same. Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania. Obviously, with the wine business, they had the droughts just recently. They had the bushfires. Now they've got the COVID to deal with. The only and best news that we have to spread is if you live close or if you're a local there, support your local wineries. And in Debo Repair in Ralston, New South Wales, they're getting all the support from New South Wales. And now nationally, we'll try and hope for more support as well.
Okay, thank you. We wish them well, and we wish you well. Thank you, Daniel.
My pleasure. You have a lovely day.